Hi viewers, welcome. The topic that I would like to discuss with you all today is about a topic that I have already discussed with you all earlier, and that is none other than that why eating non-veg is actually harmful and poses a negative impact on both your health and the environment and the other individual living with you all. This is because when you eat non-veg such as meat and fish, they contribute to the development of heart-related diseases and bad cholesterol depositing. Not just it results in such illnesses, but also it contributes to the climate change and the negative environmental consequences. This is because when you grow a large herd of cows in a large area for meat production, they take up a huge space, resulting in biodiversity loss. Not just they result in biodiversity loss, but also they release greenhouse gases such as methane, which leads to global warming and result in climate change. And now that you all have come to know all this, I hope that you all would shift to a healthy, nutritious vegetarian diet from now on. And moving on further, we can come to know that I have already discussed in the previous sessions that God has created the fish kind for massaging the human feet and removing the dead skin of the human's feet to provide them with a smooth, soft skin, which is actually not the reality, because through an intensive research, I have come to know that, and I would like to share this knowledge with you all too, that is of the Gararufa fish that are used in fish pedicure are purposefully severely starved for them to feed on the human dead skin. This is because the fish pedicures that use this fish to massage the human feet wants to make a financial profit. This is why they purposefully starve the fish, nevertheless of ethical concerns. And when the Gararufa fish that are severely starved are grown in fish tanks and used in fish pedicures to massage the feet of the humans and to remove dead skin of them, they actually don't lead to any beneficial impacts, but rather negative impacts. That is because the Gararufa fish actually have been found to carry strains of several infection-causing bacteria, including Streptococcus agalactiae, which can also cause pneumonia, and others that are resistant to antibiotics. And also, in another research, the Gararufa fish that are found to naturally rely on a diet of detritus, algae and tiny animals, arthropods and other zooplankton that have been grown in a fish tank actually not just contributes to the transmission of bacterial infections, but also HIV and hepatitis. This is because the fish tank water, if the fish tank water is used more than one customer, that is, like if a person who is infected with HIV and hepatitis, bloodborne viruses bleeds in the water, and the same water is used for another person, it can spread the infection. This is how the infection spread, and a growing number of these spas has led the government to spread awareness about its potential risk. That is why in most European nations and Canada with US have banned such malpractices of fish massages. And similar to this, there is another ongoing issue, which is of the modern dairy cows that are bred to produce large quantities of milk. Like humans, cows only produce milk as a result of being pregnant. Dairy cows must give birth to one calf per year in order to continue producing milk. Typically, they are artificially inseminated within 3 months of giving birth. Just like human mothers, cows only produce milk after they have given birth to calves. The milk is intended for their infants. In order to produce milk on an ongoing basis, factory farms repeatedly impregnate female cows through artificial insemination. This practice of artificial insemination actually results in bacterial infections through the use of equipment that has not been properly sterilized and also which can directly introduce bacteria into the reproductive tract. This is critical because the artificial insemination process involves inserting an insemination gun into the vagina and through the cervix to deposit semen in the uterus. And also in another study, they have found that the semen that is used for the purpose of artificial insemination actually comes with a negative impact, because if the semen that is used for artificial insemination is contaminated, for example, if the semen is contaminated with what I mean is when the actually semen introduces but that is the semen that has been contaminated with Mycoplasma bovis infection is introduced into the cows, into the uninfected healthy cows. It can indeed cause mastitis. Mycoplasma bovis is a significant pathogen in cattle, known for causing various diseases including pneumonia, arthritis and mastitis. Mastitis caused by Mycoplasma bovis can be particularly troublesome because it often leads to severe and chronic infections that are difficult to treat. This form of mastitis can result in significant economic losses due to decreased milk production, increased veterinary costs, and culling of affected animals. The control and prevention of Mycoplasma bovis infection are crucial in managing herd health. So, the primary ways through which these infections, that is the Mycoplasma bovis infection, can spread is close contact, respiratory droplets, carving and reproductive processes, contaminated equipment, colostrum and milk. Especially and mainly it spreads by the contaminated equipment, milking equipment, feeding utensils and other shared farm tools can harbor the bacteria if not properly sanitized, leading to spread among the herd. And also the other way which it can spread is that rough handling, that is when the milking practices are not procedurized, and when the milking practices are improperly conducted, and when they are rough handled and not properly conducted, this can also introduce the diseases. But you may argue that even if the cattle become infected with such diseases, when the milk that it yields is pasteurized after being produced, it can be taken by humans. But then that's not the case, because not all the milk are pasteurized. In most rural areas, milk is sold in a raw form. Raw milk is sold. So in raw milk, these pathogens are widely existing. So it's actually not a good practice of yielding milk from the cow. And now a recent scientific discovery has emerged, and it says that lab milk can be made, synthetic milk can be made by adding DNA taken from mammary stem cells that naturally end up in cow's milk and inserting it into genetically modified yeast. This is then fermented with sugars before being extracted, filtered and turned into milk. How this is done is, DNA sequences coding for milk proteins such as casein and whey are extracted from mammary stem cells found in cow's milk. These DNA sequences are then inserted into the genome of microorganisms such as yeast. The genetically modified yeast is engineered to express these milk proteins. This is achieved by integrating the cow milk protein genes into the yeast DNA, allowing the yeast to produce this protein during fermentation. The modified yeast is cultured in bioreactors where it ferments sugars. During fermentation, the yeast consumes the sugars and produces the milk proteins. After fermentation, the mixture is processed to extract and purify the milk proteins. This typically involves steps such as filtration and centrifugation to separate the proteins from the rest of the culture. The purified proteins are then mixed with water, fats, vitamins and minerals to create a liquid that mimics the taste, texture and nutritional content of cow's milk. The synthetic milk can be further processed to make various dairy products such as cheese, yogurt and ice cream. This approach to milk production offers potential environmental benefits such as reduced greenhouse gas emissions and lower water usage compared to traditional dairy farming. It also allows for the production of dairy products without involving animals, which can be appealing from an ethical standpoint. Companies like Perfect Day are actively developing and commercializing this technology, providing dairy alternatives that are very similar to traditional products in terms of taste and texture. In this way, the rough handling, that is the mechanical milking stress, that is by applying uneven or excessive pressure on the udder, causing damage to the teeth and other tissue, which can lead to infection, can be prevented. And also the excessive handling and milking that cause physical wear and tear, leading to injuries and infections, can also be prevented by following the synthetic milk technology. So with this, I would like to conclude my discussion. So signing off, I'll see you on another different topic on another day. Until then, bye.